No, we're looking forward to a great contest.
We are, certainly, and you can just see Mick Dundee here off the top. It's great to have his presence here throughout the coverage, just blowing the froth off a couple. Honestly, that's not a knife. This is a knife. And as we look at it now, it's going to be a big match-up here because both teams, as we see right now, just early into their season, Sydney looking for their first win, but 12 listed players, so they'll get every opportunity. And then 10 former AFL listed players for Port Melbourne. And their win against Sandy was a good one, and Tassie, 8 points. So that was very close based on Tasmania's big win yesterday. So maybe that's franking their form a little bit as well. But looking forward to this one, and I'm sure the conditions are going to suit.
Certainly will. One of those former AFL listed players, Connor Downey, was one of their best in their loss to Tassie, 28 disposals and 2 goals last week. And Dicko, the Swans fans get the first look at Billy Cootie today, who makes his club debut, coming back from a hip injury in the pre-season. Yeah, mature age recruit, pick 42 in the draft. He's been a bit of a journeyman though, due to Stars. There's been plenty of football come out of due to Stars, and then Essendon VFL, Norwood in the sample. So that just tells you one thing, that he's very determined, never gives up on his dreams. So great to have an opportunity today. So we're looking forward to this one. It is Port Melbourne's first home game of the VFL season in 2026. Soaking up the wonderful conditions boundary side for us today is Sarah Burt. Good afternoon, Birdie.
Hey team, great to be here. It is perfect conditions for some Easter Saturday footy. It's about 19 degrees, a little bit of a southeasterly that does seem to be picking up a little bit, so I'll keep you updated on that. Today is, of course, former Brownlow medalist Peter Bedford Round. He played for both clubs and he's here. He's just on the coin toss and he is here with a past players function with a lot of familiar faces.
Thanks very much, Sarah. There he is on screen speaking to Swans VFL coach Nick Malcheski, an absolute great of the game, Peter Bedford, the 1970 Brownlow medalist. So just moments away from the ball up here. Here's Harry Kyle, the number 32 on screen. He was Sydney's first pick in last year's draft. Very, very highly in demand. The Giants, in fact, traded up to bid on Kyle. That's how much the Giants liked him. He's with the Swans, and we're underway here at ETU Stadium. Great to have you with us wherever you're watching. The Tolley trying to get the first clearance of the game. Wrapped up immediately. It was Podmore-Taylor in the ruck against Grant. Podmore-Taylor into the side with Pete Laddams suspended today. Tolley got a hand pass out, but put his teammate under the pump. Cleary retreats, and the Swans will have the first entry of the game. Trying to come on is Hanley, but coming through is Green for the Borough. Linking up via hand. 1-2 with Polkinghorne, but he turns it straight over to Green. Cleary with another opportunity. Handballs further afield to Peters, who's brought down immediately and gone holding the ball.
What a hot start, and you can just see the pressure and the numbers around the contest right now. So, and there's been a free kick here out of nowhere, so Port will get their first goal going into inside 50.
Baldwin with the free kick for Port Melbourne. They work it forward through Hurd. The captain is Downey, one of their best last week in their loss against Tasmania. Kick not the best. Ball stays alive though for the Borough. Downey goes in again. He's wrapped up by Cleary, and we'll have a ball up. So 8 changes to the Swans side coming in to today. A couple of changes as well to Port Melbourne. Tom Highmore back into the lineup for the Borough as they seek their second win of the season. And there's a free kick for a block in the ruck contest. It's going to be a free kick to Port.
I think there's a bit of confusion around that once they nominated. And then I think that led to the Shepherd based on trying to protect the bounce of the ball.
So James Van Es, the recipient of the free kick. 2 goals so far this season in his couple of games. From 50 out, sends it to a dangerous position. Teeth of goal, it's off hands. Cleary takes possession. Wrapped up, ball spills free. Swans defence under pump early, but they'll get out of jail with a free kick. Advantage is paid. Cleary wants to play on. His hand pass missed the target. Now it's come up the way of the Borough. Here's a shot, but Dendo hooks it around the corner. Delightful finish. Porter on the board.
What a kick. You can just see that initial entry. The wind was pushing it left to right, so there's a little bit of carry there. I'm sure Bertie will give us an update as the game goes on, but just that finish there. Port's pressure inside 50 to turn it over once again. Put the Sydney defence, you can just see here, this is what you want, just the numbers, outnumbering, give them no exit, and this is just great reward for the forwards. You can see it all the way back in, and that's a super finish on the right foot there to snap. And first goal, Port Melbourne.
And his 7th goal of the season
Yeah,
too, Benny.
he's in hot
started
form.
brightly.
He's in very hot form, Dom Bedendo. 4 seasons on the Western Bulldogs list. Only played a couple of games at AFL level, but not just this season as well. But he finished 2025 from a VFL perspective in strong form. Bedendo. Port with the first of the game, and Grant's going to receive it on the outside. The ruck is sending it inside 50 here. Highmore picks it up to Clark. Speaking of players in form, Clark is off to the right on this occasion, but Port Melbourne able to get some early scores from their entry opportunities, Dicko.
Yeah, they're pushing forward. They want to dominate the time inside 50. You can just see in time in forward half. But look at that breeze, just carry that straight back into Port Melbourne's arms here. But you're right, Benny. They're just turning up the heat here early on the Swans.
Sparkman sends the Borough back into attack to a contest at the top of the goal square. And again, they pounce Port Melbourne. But it is a miss to Ryder, who is one of a number of former Swans out there today. So 3 former Swans Academy players for Port Melbourne and 1 former Swans listed player in Lockie Rankin. So plenty of familiar faces in the Borough lineup.
Well, Max didn't caress that one by any stretch. He went after it. You can just see Sydney the last couple of times just long down the middle here. Port Melbourne have just taken full advantage. It's a useless kick, to be fair, because he's kicked it to the outweighted numbers of Port Melbourne.
Pinpoint pass from Baldwin to Highmore. A couple of ex-AFL players linking up there. Highmore to the top of the goal square. Packed forms. Borough have numbers here at the fall of the ball. Clark was involved. Couldn't quite run it on to it cleanly. And wrapped up there is Stubbings, who is one of their more experienced campaigners out there. Very young Port Melbourne team out there today. Stubbings at 25 years of age, one of their more experienced players. Big tackle from Polkinghorn.
I'm sure the message will come out soon enough to the Swans in the way they're panicking with the ball. They're kicking long dump kicks out of defensive 50, which is not going to get you a result. We've seen that a couple of times. So just use the numbers. Drive your legs out of these contests, and if they get their handball game going, they can at least clear the area.
Hands free here. Tovey. Was that a legal hand pass? Umpire called play on. High kick towards goal is off to the right.
Well, here's a great opportunity. Great opportunity. So use your numbers, use your feet, and just kick your way out of here until you can clear the zone.
Again, the Swans bomb it long to a contest, this time on the outer side. In front of a healthy crowd here at ETU Stadium. Beautiful day for footy. Oh, great tackle from Clark has wrapped up Kyle, and it's going to be a free kick.
Well, you can only think that there was nothing up the field for him to hold on to that so long.
Quick to play on. They go to a player on the lead, and Van Ness spills to Ryder this time. He sends it through the middle. Port, strong start early at home.
Well, Ryder learned from his last mistake trying to kick the cover off the ball. He's just caressed that one through, but just great reward once again for Port. They just turned the heat up. Every time the Swans get the ball, they're just outnumbering them. You just see here, like no awareness whatsoever. No support, no talk from Sydney. They're just on the back foot. And then the kick inside 50. And Ryder here just perfect front square and just finishes his work. So what a start from Port.
The Swans had the first inside 50 of the game, then Port have had the last 5 inside 50s after that, and they've had 4 scoring shots come from it. So Max Ryder with his first major, 1 goal, 1 for him, and the Borough have shot out to an early 14-point advantage. Podmore Taylor up high, but Clark was down low. Through the hands of Hurd, coming through the other side there was Elwood. He missed it. Clark determined. Great hands there. Stubbings couldn't get the clean hand pass away. Now able to find Tovey. He goes up the chimney towards half forward. Good luck marking that. It bounces in the middle of a massive pack of players. Tovey goes again. Was he tackled without it? Umpire said play on. Spills to space here. Elwood finally gets a clean kick forward here for the Swans, but in front. Strong mark taken there by Johnston, and he can repel for the Borough.
So still now 5 inside 50s to 1 in favour of Port. You just see here, they're trying to use their hands to get out. Not prepared to just dump kick.
Ball in dispute in the middle of the ground. Clear is going to be pinged for a throw, for a scoop, however you want to adjudicate that. Baldwin inside the centre square for the Borough.
Spent some time on an AFL list. So you can see those guys have a little bit more composure. You see Port using their numbers once again, just not prepared to dump it down the line here and give it back. Hold possession, exhaust your opportunities inside and then go long down the line.
Dendo on the wing. Searching kick to half forward. It's over and out of play. We'll have it thrown back in.
Well, it's just a hot start from Port. You can just see the Swans a bit rattled at the moment on what sort of method they want to use. Conditions obviously are going to be a bit difficult at times, but you've got to work your way through this.
Podmore Taylor took it out of the ruck and gained some serious territory. Totoli running onto it. And then with a beautiful spin, the left foot snap. Not sure if that was his intended target, but if it was, it's come off superbly. Tom Ryan has the mark.
Well, that's much better. You get your forwards up nice and high, the space is over the back, and then Tom gets his opportunity.
23rd player for the Swans today, Tom Ryan, snaps his team's first major of the game.
Well, it's been a bit of a hot start and all in favour of Port, but one against the flow of play here. You can see Sydney, just a long kick in, worked his way through this beautifully. There James did and gets it to Tom, finishes the work, but that's a bit of relief for the Sydney Swans. They've been under siege at the moment.
He's the cousin of Richmond's Samson Ryan. Looks a bit like him.
Yeah.
And he gets his first goal at this level.
Not sure.
So plenty of history between these two sides.
He's got a Port scarf on and a Sydney beanie.
Just one each way, Dicko.
Well, why not? Sit on the fence.
Heard Borough captain loses his feet. Handball out to Stubbings, a little fumble. Good tackle applied from Hanley. And we'll have a ball up in the centre square. So Grant tangles with Podmore Taylor, free kick to the Swans.
Even just the contested possessions, 20 to 12 in favour of Port. Prepared to roll the sleeves up early.
Bombs it to a dangerous position. Off hands, who's lurking for the Swans? Hanley is there. He gets a handball away. Oh, is that high contact? The umpire has spotted it. Free kick to Billy Cooney.
Well, Billy Boy gets his opportunity. Just a bit sloppy in the tackle.
We'll go back and have a look at potentially his first goal in his new colours today, the mature age recruit. A great story out of Norwood in the sample. Won their best and fairest last year. But is from Victoria, former captain of Essendon's VFL side, had a hip injury during the pre-season. But the draftee sends it on its way, and he misses.
42 last year. Bit of a surprise, Dicko, that he was taken that early as well. One sort of couple of scouts said to me after that draft, if you're picking a mature age player at pick 42 in the draft, you want him to have an immediate impact. And that's what the Swans want from Billy Cooney. Borough able to bring it out of defence pretty cleanly. The target was Baldwin, and he juggled it nicely in front of the Norm Goss stand here at ETU Stadium. George provides the lead. Promising build-up here from the Borough. Pulls the trigger with a kick inside 50. Coming across there, Podmore Taylor. Snapped towards goal by the Borough. It's just off to the left and through for, in fact, boundary throw, and it was Clark who had the flying shot at goal. He's looked ominous early for Port Melbourne. Shallow boundary throw in. Van Ez doing the ruck work. Comes out here to O'Sullivan, who snaps and goals. Classy finish. No, it wasn't. Touched off the boots. Take that back. He thought it was a goal, but the field umpire right on there.
Yeah, Jack O'Sullivan was on the Hawks list for a little bit there. You see, he thought it was a goal, but touched. Getting a bit more transition now, the Swans, in terms of their play.
Hanley sends the Swans into attack. It's punched away. Here's a chance. Peters on the left, snaps it towards goal, and it's gone through the middle. The Swans have hit back. Port with the first two goals. And now the Swans have responded in great style.
Certainly in great style. Charlie Peters there. Wasn't going to waste that opportunity, so the transition from defence after that kick from the Swans out. You can just see here, he was front and square to this beautifully. That's a nice finish on the left. Certainly hit back after a slow start. Inside 50 count now starting to even itself up.
Product of the deep southeast, Charlie Peters, through South Belgrave in the Eastern Footy League, then played 12 games in 3 seasons with the Casey Demons. This is his first year with the Swans VFL setup, had 18 touches in round 1 against Box Hill and has a goal here to draw the Swans within a couple of points. Mellis was in there for the Swans. There's a player down behind play as well, and it's the ruck, Podmore Taylor, who's not in a good way.
No.
Swans already without Peter Laddams today. They've brought in Podmore Taylor to do most of their ruck work. It's from the ruck contest.
Might be the way he's landed.
Yeah, the way he's landed on that. Right there.
Hard to see what that was it?
He's jogging off.
Yeah.
At least.
He'll get assessed. No doubt the doctors have another look at the contact. He is holding his head, so Podmore Taylor will get assessed on the boundary line. Stop play for the moment.
So it means that Tommy Ryan, who kicked the Swans' first goal, will do the ruck work here against Grant, who's been in good form for the Borough across the first few games of the season. Who can emerge with the footy? Comes to George. Quick hand pass back. Now a high kick towards the arc. Bounce important here. Lovely take there from O'Sullivan. Tried to find Lugston by hand. Sparkman retreats. And now Dreyer checks the kick towards the flank. Big opportunity here for Ryder, who kept his feet. Handball to George, who was hot, but George was able to slip the tackle and kick to the hot spot. Swans have numbers around. Waiting to pounce, though, is Lugston. He tried to fend off Cleary. Did fend off Cleary. Clark somehow got boot to ball. Now an opportunity for Stubbings. He's caught holding the ball. And the Swans defence breathe a sigh of relief.
Well, they're starting to get their numbers back now. So they identified early that they were giving way too much space to Port. So you can see Sydney now have cleared the area, but had a really good numerical advantage there in that contest.
The Borough with the first 2 goals of the game started brightly, and then the Swans have just steadied the ship. That hand pass missed McLean. First real look at him this afternoon. The tackle's got to be in the back. Johnston to take the free kick at half-back for Port. Share it around defensive 50, Dreyer. Joined Port Melbourne last season, came across from the Northern Bull Ants. It's going to be high contact against Tovey.
Certainly taking it on Port. This is all through the corridor, happy to chip their way through. Just test the defence of Sydney at the moment. You can see the kicks 34-12, so certainly trying to control possession.
Dreyer retreats to Johnston. He's all the way out to the half-back flank. So methodical build-up here for the Borough. This is Tom Graham, son of Mark Graham there, Dicko.
Yes,
Graham.
Mark Graham, 200 gamer for the Hawks, played at Richmond. Tom's so athletic. He's been a journeyman himself and really cemented himself here with the Port lineup.
George, kick was touched off the boot, so no mark to Kyle. Forced to Tovey. He's looking for a run on the outside. Linking up via hand, the Borough. Handball from Bedendo. Just misses his intended target. But an opportunity here for the Borough to have a look from a forward half stoppage. They lead by 2 points. Must have, sorry, just been inside the arc.
Yeah, it was
so last touch
on the handball.
Ball in dispute on the wing. The numbers around the contest. Ryan emerges with it. Swans can go forward. A high kick inside forward 50, and Johnston sees it over the line and will have it thrown back in.
There's 2 styles at the moment. Sydney are happy to kick long to contest, whereas Port want to take possession and just chip it round to find their way through, not prepared to give it or turn it over.
Looks like it'll be McLean up against Tovey for this boundary throw-in ruck contest. Clean with the tap. Whistle, umpires found a free kick going the Borough's way. It will be Tovey who gets the free kick.
Well, they're not going to dump kick. They'll kick this around. They've shown their intent here, Port.
Tovey towards the wing, hugs the line. Bedendo athletically up. Takes the strong mark. Just a little worse for wear on that right boot. He's coming to the bench straight away. Be a big blow if that is some bad damage for Dom Bedendo. Highmore again goes short. Tovey right on centre wing here. The Borough by 2 points. Good defensive pressure from the Swans. Rankin had it punched away from him. Back to Highmore. Back to Tovey, but well done by Kyle. Was able to position himself and fist it over the line into neutral territory.
And when you're defending the chip kicks around, what you got to do is just close your teasing distance. That's what the Swans are doing. They've just closed their teasing distance a little bit, knowing that Port are happy to chip it around and find a turnover, which they did.
Healthy crowd in the Norman Goss stand, enjoying Easter Saturday action. Great to have your company wherever you're watching. Port by a couple of points. Green marks for the Borough, wants to use the corridor. It's a good kick and now they're out. Polkinghorne to Sparkman, now out wide for Downey. One of their best last week and they lost to Tassie, squares it. Back to Polkinghorne. Has to be good with this disposal, sends it into the pocket. Swans with the numbers, but it's Van Ness with a contested grab.
What a grab that was, in between two Swans. You've got to kill the ball if you're defending that. It just gives a nice run and jump. Van Ness.
Spent some time on St Kilda's list, came through North Ballarat, joined Port Melbourne last year. He comes in and he just, it's going to come back. The wind took hold of that, not quite enough.
That gives you a good look at it though. That's going to be challenging. You can just see there, the left to right and behind the goals there, the trees are getting a fair workout.
Dicko, I'd had to do a double take at the disposal count at the moment. 89 to 27, 20 minutes into the first quarter. Controlling the footy so much at the moment. Port Melbourne only had the 3-point advantage. Tovey sets up Hawkins, spears it short. Bounce was cruel there for O'Sullivan. Quick hands there from Giacometti. Couldn't quite find his teammate. Green got a hand pass away. Only as far though as Caligari. Inside 50 go the Swans. Kick just over the head of Elwood. And then a big tackle from Dreyer. Port fans want holding the ball and they get holding the ball. Felix Dreyer wins the free kick.
That's a great tackle just to stop that. You can understand why Sydney, they clearly have the breeze this quarter, so they're just dumping it any chance they get inside 50, but that is a great turnover to give Port possession, and we know what they're going to do. They're going to kick it around once again. You just identified it, Benny. Clearly the disposal count way in favour of Port.
Sparkman back to Baldwin, down the boundary line, and it's spoiled out of play. Port with the first 2 goals of the game to Bedendo and Ryder. Swans hit back through Ryan and Peters.
There you go. 60 plus 67 in disposals to Port. Because they know this ground so well, and they know when they're going into the breeze, they've got to kick it around. So it might be a different method in the second quarter.
Ditoli scraps a kick forward. It might work out here for the Swans. Cleary on the burst, sends it into the pocket, goes over the head of the intended target. The umpires found a free kick.
Not sure what that was for. We'll have a look at the replay, but the umpire saw something that we possibly didn't.
So Liam Heatherton, 18-year-old, he was his own selection. Out of the Murray Bush Rangers. Gets set up for the snap around the corner to give Sydney the lead. And he's got it. 3 in a row to the Swans.
It was crazy when you think about the amount of possession that Port have had. The inside 50 count heavily weighted with Port, but Sydney, as soon as they go, their efficiency inside 50, you can just see now starting to even up 8-7 in favour of Port. That was 6-2 at one stage, so Sydney clearly getting their hands back on the football. You just see there, that's a shepherd no ice for the footy. So a clear block and great finish.
A bit of a quirky one with Liam Heatherton, who wasn't part of the Swans academy, but as he was a New South Wales player that ultimately wasn't drafted, the Swans could pick him up as a zone selection as a rookie in the end. So it's a big win for him because he had an injury-interrupted draft campaign last year, Liam Heatherton, and was in the AFL academy. Could have been a really high pick if it wasn't for injury last year. So hopefully the Swans, I think he can turn him into a bit of a bargain pick. Snell sends the Swans forward. Great crumb at ground level from Harrison, but he was caught holding the ball in the end, didn't get rid of it in time.
A great tackle. The marks plus 24 in favour of Port.
That tackle came from Downey, although that kick has been intercepted by Snell, who was excellent in round one, had 10 intercepts in round one, Patrick Snell, and he sends it inside 50. Ball comes to the back, and Elwood run onto it. Good bounce there for Graham. He goes short to Stubbings, and he has Polkinghorn. Polkinghorn can repel for the Borough.
Well, they'll try and control it, as we've seen throughout the first quarter here. Last resort is a long bomb.
That's exactly what he does. Kicks to a contest. Swans have the numbers. McLean in front position. Spurs to ground. Hamling wrapping up Ryder, and we'll have a ball up on the wing. Right, there's the tap coming through to Tolley. Clean hand pass though goes out of play. It'll be a free kick for last disposal to Port. It'll be George, who isn't sure that he's got a free kick.
Getting used to the rule.
Getting used to the rules. 23 disposals last week for Roy George. Has some VFL experience with Casey the last couple of years. Joined the Borough midway through last season.
Yeah, he's an exciting prospect. He's a train-on player with the D's from an AFL perspective a couple of summers ago. So he's on the radar. McLean up high, but in front. Snell again. Great intercept mark.
This is where they have dump kicked in the past, so they might be changing up a little bit. Make the ground nice and big here. Get Port to defend. It's an uncontested game.
Shipley to Cleary. He wants to go via hand through the middle. He put his teammate in Peters under the pump. We've seen the Swans at an AFL level. Dicko really tries to use the handball game as much as possible, and often you find the AFL tactics filter down into from a VFL perspective.
Yeah, it should transition down to VFL level, no doubt, especially when you're training it, you get AFL players, especially 12 listed today as well with the Swans.
Let's head down to Sarah Burt.
Yeah, hey team, Port Melbourne have said Dom Bedendo is just putting some deep heat on that knee and he should be good to go. Harrison Podmore-Taylor from the Swans is just still being assessed down in the rooms.
Thanks, Bertie. An important player for Port Melbourne is Dom Bedendo. He's kicked bags of 3 in his first 2 games. Already got 1 here this afternoon, so they'd love to have him back out there. Chance for the Swans. Detoli long towards goal. It's off target and through for a behind.
So Sydney now +2 inside 50s. You know, they do have a slight breeze to the right of screen, but they're making the most of this at the moment.
Clark under pressure, shares it with Stubbings, back to Clark. They've worked it out nicely. That's not the required distance. Now they've put themselves under pressure. Highmore got a handball away, coming through Hurd. His kick just over the intended target, and Tovey has support out the back, and Ryder is dispossessed, goes in again. Did really well to Downey, who scraps a kick inside forward, 50 for the Borough. Clark is worried out of it by Snell, and we've got a free kick for high contact.
Yeah, a little bit sloppy approaching that contest.
Swans look to run it out. Opportunity here for Giacometti. Superb kick. Mark taken here by Havan Filippo, brother of Mateus. Was taken in last year's draft by the Swans. Filippo goes inside 50 from the side. No mark there to Heatherton. Burrow with numbers behind. Baldwin, short to Stubbings. Hurd.
See the Swans now just defending that corridor a little bit better, forcing long kicks from Port.
Pinpoint from Tom Hurd. Highmore wants to go inboard. That's a superb looking kick off the boots. Almost taken. It almost came off there for the Borough. Instead, the Swans will pounce. Cleary sends it from one arc to the other. That's the strength of this breeze at the moment. Baldwin with an excellent pick up below his knees there. 1-2 with his teammate. Checked the kick, went short, but turned it over. And Shipley marks.
The captain for the Swans, Shipley, pokes short and wide. Here's Titterman for Sydney. Goes backwards to Shipley. Time enough for either side if they're clean. So we tick down towards quarter time. That's a dangerous kick. Snell under all sorts of pressure. Is good enough to take the grab. Member of the famous 2023 Allies side that won the championships for the first time in the under-18s competition. A few players in the squad out there today. I feel like, Benny, that 2023 under-18 championship side's going to get more famous as the years go on. There's plenty of wonderful names in that squad.
A big part of today's game, both for, as you've mentioned already, Jess, Port Melbourne and Sydney, there's a lot of academy-listed players out there making up the numbers in this contest. The Swans have kicked the last 3 goals of the game and they lead by 4 points at the first change. Second quarter coming up in the VFL right after this.
time at ETU Stadium, where the Sydney Swans hold a 4-point lead against Port Melbourne Borough. The Borough kicked the first 2 goals in the opening 6 minutes. A hot start for them. The Swans steadied late. They've kicked 3 goals in a row to take a 4-point lead into the first break, I should say. 3-2-20 plays 2-4-16. Jess Webster with you alongside Benny Waterworth and former Hawk Ben Dixon. Ben, how'd you see that first quarter?
It was a bit of a strange one when you look at the numbers. The inside 50 count +4 to Sydney based on a 4-point lead. You would take that. But then the contested possessions +17 Port. The clearances in favour of Port marks. We know they're playing the uncontested game. And the uncontested possessions +47. But kicking efficiency, so the ability to use the ball, 75% from the Swans as opposed to 58 with Port Melbourne. A bizarre start, really. Off a slow one for Sydney. They certainly fought their way back in. We know it's probably a 2 or 3 goal breeze, but they certainly got their way back into that quarter really well.
A couple of injury concerns in that first quarter. Don Bedendo looks like he's going to be right to go, as is Harrison Podmore-Taylor as well, the ruck for Sydney, who's crucial for them today. Peter Laddam's out suspended, so he has a big role to play, but they have a 4-point advantage at the first break as well for the Swans. Detoli with the 6 disposals in the first quarter alongside Patrick Snell as well, who started brightly. 11 for Kane Baldwin. Benny, the defender for Port, he started his season in fine form.
And you mentioned the amount of numbers that Port Melbourne have had so far. Josh Green, brother of Tom Green, to the 11 touches. Charlie Clark 10, Tovey 10. So the on-ballers for Port Melbourne very busy in that quarter.
Very busy, and it was all the outside game, to be fair. So they won the clearance count. But they were just using the uncontested possession, and your midfielders need to get to work to open those pockets of space and use the ball. But I'm intrigued now that they have the breeze. Will that method, apply in the second quarter, or will they adopt what the Swans did and just give their forwards every opportunity and get it in fast?
Let's head boundary side and check in with Sarah Burt.
Brendan, straight out from the huddle, what was the messaging in there?
Oh, get the balance right. Our contest was really good, and not be stressed when it doesn't work. But some of the things we've been working on for a couple of weeks were there. We're probably being a bit cute with the footy and then getting upset when it doesn't quite work. But we're playing a good team that knows how to defend the ground well, so we've just got to deal with whatever's in front of us.
Well, a lot of the stats you're way up. Was kicking against the wind there affecting things, do you think?
Well, it was a bit breezier than I thought, maybe, but they defended really well. Once we went into a bit of a kick and mark game, they located well, but sometimes you've got to just go to your forwards too and your talls and give them a chance. But I think we'll get the balance right.
Thanks, Brendan.
Good on you. Thank you.
So maybe a hint there, Dicko, that they might have overdone it a bit in that first quarter.
Yeah, the kick mark game wasn't going to work. We saw that, and Sydney making full advantage. But as he said just then, that adjustment, that's the beauty of quarter time. You get 10 minutes to change your method. So I think giving that last bit that he said about forwards an opportunity, I think they're going to obviously get it in as quick as they possibly can.
Second quarter underway here. Swans by 4 points. Tovey clears to Hurd, who just gets his left foot kick away. Up towards half forward. Punched away from the Borough. They have numbers at ground level. Stubbings over the footy. And it was held to him, Harry Stubbings. Only 7 touches in that first quarter.
This is where the clearance can be huge for the Swans. So they just want to control this part of the game. It'll be territory as their #1 KPI.
Podmore-Taylor is able to get the clearance. Hand pass comes out from Green to Hurd on the outside, up towards half forward. Ball eludes Shipley, but at the back, Bowman is able to find Shipley. A steadying head across half back. Punched away there by Dreyer. He's had a good start to the game. He finds the boundary line. Early stages here in the second quarter. Beautiful day for footy in Port Melbourne.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Sydney put a +1 down there as well, knowing that if you just want to take away a little bit of space, the opportunities for forwards, Ned Bowman might be an opportunity. He can play a loose man in defence.
Ball in dispute on the wing. Tovey fires out a hand pass to Grant. Now to Clark, outside of the boot, drives Port Melbourne inside the arc. Bouncing ball, slapped away by Snell. Now the Swans can rebound out of defence. They link it up by hand. They continue to run, a good build-up. Cootie into the pocket, great delivery. And they find Detoli in space.
Like you said before, Benny, that was almost the blueprint of the AFL team, the Sydney Swans, on what they love to do, carry by hand and numbers. Just huge wave of Sydney players running through there to give them an inside 50 and a shot on goal.
And 20 disposals and 2 goals, Jesse Detoli, in their round 1 loss to Box Hill a couple of weeks ago. Of course, Sydney coming off the bye, looking to get on the winners list for the first time in their 2026 VFL campaign. Starts at left, bends it back. Super execution from Jesse Detoli.
He must have been watching Port when he was down the other end and just said, whoa, this breeze is going way left to right, because he was certainly aiming outside that left goalpost, and you can see the breeze just working that. Gives the Swans 10-point lead here early in the second, but the ball movement was just perfect. You can just see once the defenders have won that, you can see the wave of numbers as you're coming through the corridor. Look at this, options are plenty, left, right, got some really good shape. Look at all the runners. I can't see any Port players defending that. And that just gives, oh, look at that. He's kicked it. It's just gone dog leg right.
Shot. That is brilliant ball movement from the Swans. Billy Cootie was involved a lot in that ball movement there. There's Dom Bedendo still on the bench. Looks really bothered by that right knee at the moment, so fingers crossed for him. Kick from Hurd finds the lap of Grant. Tovey keeps it low inside 50 and onto the chest of Ryder, who can have the set shot.
Yeah, they weren't stuffing around there. Port, they know that Sydney were going to flood and get their numbers back. Great hitter too. And great take from Ryder.
Second season with Port Melbourne. Max Ryder, another ex-Swans Academy player, 2 goals in round 1. They really need this, the Borough. The Swans have been able to gain scoreboard ascendancy since halfway through that first quarter.
With the breeze, swing with ease.
Can he guide it through? He can't. Minor for Ryder.
He didn't overkick that, and that went 60 metres without trying. So you can see the strength in that breeze to the right of screen for Port in this quarter.
Joel Hamling, the experienced campaigner. Oh, he's put himself under pressure. Van Ness a chance in the pocket. Great smother by Highmore from the kick in. Off the deck, Shipley.
Is Joel Hamling Benjamin Button?
Yes.
Can you just clarify that for me? It feels like he's been playing for 20 years.
32-year-old, over 100 games of AFL experience in his 4th AFL club. He'd want this moment back again, though. Great pressure on the mark from Highmore.
His 15th season on the list this year.
It's crazy.
He's a premiership player with the Western Bulldogs back in 2016, that famous flag. Swans have the free kick here. Heatherton is all the way up at half-back. So kicks it high towards the wing. Grant in front, had his name written all over that. A good start to the year, Sam Grant. Inboard to Sparkman. Hurd, always the receiver on the outside at the moment, and that's why he's a beautiful ball user. Van Ez, deep to the top of the goal square. Through the hands of Highmore. And another rush behind it. Port just getting a bit of momentum in the past couple of minutes.
They certainly are, and you can see Tom Hurd's having an influence through that middle of the ground. Benny, great point. He's not wasting any possessions, and certainly going a bit longer and more direct in this quarter, Port. I mean, that one just went through the hands, but that was 5 metres out from goal. Great opportunity missed.
Hanley bombs it to the wing. It's off hands and brought to ground. Port Melbourne come up with it.
Here he is again.
Great kick. Laterally to Hurd on the edge of the centre square. One of their best and fairest last year. Captain of Port Melbourne drives it long into the pocket. Highmore was the target, couldn't quite get to him. Now to Snell, under pressure, last line of defence, out to Harrison. Handball to Shipley. Now over the top to the run of Cleary. Back in the VFL side this afternoon to the wing. Well read by Baldwin. Rankin tucks it back into the Baldwin direction. Space on the wing, loops it over the top. Polkinghorn continues to move it forward by hand. Graham under pressure. It's kept alive. Skies it inside forward 50. Well read in the air by Bowman.
Well, he's Bowman. I think he's the spare down there, and that's smart from the Swans. Just a +1 in defence to help the aerial support, and that's a great contested mark.
Turned into a bit of a half-back over the summer, Ned Bowman. He arrived at the Swans as a half-forward. a small forward option.
And this is what Tom Graham can do. You know, just really athletic, can take a really good contested mark.
Deep kick, punched away by Edwards, and it falls to Peters, who hacks it out of there. Falls into the lap of Heatherton. Handball into space will work for Filippo. And now a genuine one-on-one inside 50. It does hold up in the breeze a little. Detoli marks, has a player on over the top. The Swans ball movement good there, but Hanley dropped the mark. Still has McLean there for support. He'll centre it, and Detoli couldn't mark it. Can they still keep this alive, the Swans? Detoli snaps, can't get there. They've made real hard work of this, and they make it even harder. And somehow Titterman comes up with it. Play the Benny Hill music. Green, Hurd, my goodness, Port Melbourne feel like they've won the lotto. They haven't conceded a goal there. Swans keep it in. It's off hands and finally over the line. What the heck just happened?
I'm not sure I've ever seen a forward kick it from a metre out, up the chimney, and end up in the pocket.
Port Melbourne might have just cashed in their get-out-of-jail-free card on that one. And the Swans get a forward 50 stoppage to work with. Podmore Taylor in ruck. Spills to Clark. He's named in the VFL state squad team. He kicks out wide to space on the wing. And that's going to go out of play. And it's going to be a last disposal, free kick. Joe Harrison.
Just even the intent there from Port out of defence. Just a long kick to the space. Get the forwards up nice and high.
Ryder under pressure, throws it on the left. Sends it inside 50 to a contest out the back. Who's there? Highmore. Oh, great smother from Edwards. Now follows up and hands it to Shipley. And let's see if the Swans can generate their handball game out of defence.
Podmore Taylor, the ruck, is on the end of it. And he spears it inside 50. That's the speed of ball on display. Filippo's going to run in and kick an easy goal. That's much easier for Javan Filippo.
Well, defensive transition off half-back. It was 5 handballs out into open space through the arc, and then you can see the isolation up in the front half. Just Filippo, you can see he's holding all his own there, but this is great defensive work. Look at the numbers, 3 on 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 handballs, and then they're out. You can, as a forward, just identify the space there and turn the defender's head. Look at all the space he has to work in there. Runs into the easiest of goals. So great transition once again for the Swans. Love their handball game. It's just certainly opening it up through the middle of the ground for them at the moment. And a commanding lead now.
Captain of the Eagles under-18 side in the SANFL. Averaged 28 disposals and 2 goals in the SANFL under-18s last year, plus 6 senior games as well. In his draft year, pick number 35, Javan Filippo gets a goal on the board. Swans have kicked the only 2 goals of this second quarter. They've got a handy lead now. Put Melbourne winning out of the centre, driving kick towards half forward. Van Ness out the back, goes over the line. It's going to be it's going to be a high contact free kick to Sydney.
Yeah, that was clearly there. And you can just see he's playing a big role here. Ned Bowman across half back.
Well, he was tracking towards a bit of an opening round kick, Ned Bowman, during the pre-season, but he suffered a hamstring injury, which set him back. But he's back out there and showing why he was a bit of a pre-season bolter so far. Opportunity for Peters. He goes through the middle of the ground. Dangerous kick, though, has been chopped off. Baldwin inside 50. And that time, great ball use from the Borough, and Polkinghorne can have a look from directly in front.
That's why turnovers is so important. Once you're on your bike, Sydney are on their bike then, but the half-backs for Port, just to get up nice and high, intercept that football, and then all the forwards are definitely going to be free out the back. And Polkinghorne's on the end of it, and hopefully the reward will come.
A couple of goals in round 1. Riley Polkinghorne, star at North Ballarat early this decade. Polkinghorne's kick fades to the right. 2 goals, 8 for Port Melbourne. They've had their chances. They've had more scoring shots than the Swans. But the Swans have that 2-goal lead.
You want to make the most of the opportunities and the breeze here. Sydney did it in the first quarter. Port just last couple of opportunities.
Shipley in defence for the Swans. Drives it to the wing. McLean, strong hands. Wants to wheel and go. Has a look at the corridor. And the kick missed the target. Ought to set up out the back. Rankin. Oh, kick towards Clark. Just couldn't hang on to the mark. Now he's got work to do defensively. Hand pass a little too hot for Cleary. Ball to be one in the middle. It's won by Hurd. Kicks to a one-on-one. McLean read it best in the air.
It's got to be so clean. And those 50-50 kicks, just got to be able to hit a target.
McLean goes into the arc. Big fly from behind. It was from Filippo. Borough have numbers at the fall of the ball. Johnston, Baldwin, check the kick. Bounce important for Polkinghorne. Set up nicely for him. Downey going inboard. Fed out to Polkinghorne, who hugs the line. And it bounces accommodatingly here for Clark, who has ample time to assess. He goes to a 3-on-1, though, against O'Sullivan. He goes out of bounds, so considering the kick, it's not the worst result for the Borough.
It's not the worst result, but it's not the right decision.
No.
He had players leading up at the football, just take the space, hit a lead up, because you can just see they've clearly got a +1 down there, Sydney. He kicked it straight to their numbers.
Can they make the most of this opportunity here, Port Melbourne? They kicked the first 2 goals of the game. It's been the Swans since with the last 5. McLean decisively down. Tackle from O'Sullivan. Ball up is the call. That 12-point margin remains.
Swans win the tab. Luxton will see it over the line as we get down to the boundary to Sarah Bird.
Yeah, guys, some unfortunate news from the Swans. Harrison Podmore-Taylor came off just before at that last stoppage, and he's just not feeling 100%, so he is done for the day.
Thanks, Sarah. That is a big blow to the Swans, particularly their ruck stocks. McLean up to the bulk of that work from here on in. Kick out of congestion from Bowman. Ball to be won. Great work done by the Swans, although now they're in trouble. Good tackle from Rankin has won the footy back for the Borough.
Oh, that is a great tackle. They were away. You could see them streaming forward. That one against play. It's going to give Port every opportunity here.
Polkinghorne getting busy for the Borough. Shank off the boot. But there's lots of Borough players around here. Lugston. Oh, that's a free kick for holding the ball. I thought he got a boot to ball there.
I don't know how the ball got out there if he didn't. Riddle me that. Now, this is just great defence. As I said, Sydney forwards were all out and terrific. Rankin just nailing that one on the wing.
This is Lugston for the Borough, another former Swans Academy product. He goes to the teeth of goal. Grant is down there. Lots of Swans defenders waiting to punch it through for another behind for the Borough.
Yeah, he chipped that in to the top of the square.
Too deep almost.
It was. I mean, he could have even had a shot, to be fair. Strange kick.
10 inside 50s to 4 the way of the Borough in this second quarter for a return of 5 behinds. Swans have put 2 goals on the board. They've kicked the last 5 of the game either side of quarter time. A little bit of confusion here, but it's going to be a free kick to Port Melbourne.
Yeah, I'll switcheroo. The umpire did call it the other way.
Stubbings stabs it short. And Bedendo, good to see him back out onto the field.
Well, this will get his confidence up after some time on the boundary line, getting some DP to that patella tendon, it looked like.
Kicked the first goal of the game. He's kicked 3 goals in each of his first 2 games this season. Wheels inboard, sinks his boot into it, and the wind carries it all the way home. And they hit back at last.
Finally. They've had their opportunities, missed some really easy goals, but often when you do that, you'll kick the hard one, which he definitely did there, Nindo. And I just like the fact that they just keep peppering through the middle of the ground. They're creating the pressure in the turnover game. He's certainly on Port's radar right now, based on probably a 2 to 3 goal breeze. You just see here, this, you've got a great look at it from here. Look at this. Used to love those, running out from the arc, open it up and just slotting that one. Definitely needed at Port because the Swans are just going inside 50 at will at the moment.
Still just 23 years of age, Don Bedendo, 191 centimetres, so good size. Trying to put his name back on the radar of scouts at an AFL level. 5-point lead now for Sydney. Clearance from Clark. Inside 50 go the Borough again. Foot race created. hand pass from Snell. Came out over the top, clean from Cleary. Found his teammate in Elwood, who centred the ball just out of the reach there of Mellis, but Mellis able to win it and get it going quickly to Filippo, who takes the advantage. Hand pass too hot, but in the end, up to the task was his teammate in Caligari. Port Melbourne able to win it back off hands there. Sparkman short to George, who waited for some run from behind. Swans win it back. Fast hands again from Nick Malcheski's side. Then George arrives, allays the tackle, and wins a free for holding the ball.
Yeah, he hatched that. He had to get that one out. Too long sitting over it. But they certainly turned up the pressure. They know, even with the breeze, that they defensively have to be on here with Sydney with their handball game. You've got to be able to close out the exits, and they're doing that really well at the moment.
Seston at half-back for the Borough. Hits a target in space on the wing. Good build up here from Port Melbourne. The kick inside forward 50. Great work in the contest from Gibbs to bring it to ground. Coming through Lugsden. Gets a handball out. Polkinghorne on the left. Just can't quite bend enough. But they've been peppering here in this second quarter, Port Melbourne. They're back to within 4 points.
Yeah, they've had a couple of opportunities, Polkinghorne in particular. 2 shots on goals in the last 5 or 6 minutes. But this is where, like, Sydney just hanging in there in a way. Like, the momentum is certainly shifted in Port's favour.
Giacometti with kick-in duties. Has that been touched? It's gone out of bounds. It's a lasso going the way of Port Melbourne. Locking Rankin with the footy. Former Swans listed player himself. Now at the Borough. His 3rd season with Port Melbourne. Takes on the man on the mark. Spears it inside 50. What a play. Locking Rankin. And Ryder presented and took the mark. He played on. Oh, he played on.
Oh, no.
Still alive. Stubbings, kick smothered. Ryder tries to make amends, but can't.
Just trying to make sense of that. Why you would play on after taking a mark there. We saw a goal from the same side, same pocket.
His eyes lit up, Dicko. He saw something that he liked. He just didn't quite pull the trigger. George gets around one. Now back to Bedendo. Kick towards the top of the square. Who's lurking? Down he is! And they've hit the front, Port Melbourne. Well, he was one of their best last week, Connor Downey. 28 disposals, 2 goals and 11 marks for the former Hawk. And that was a timely goal.
Was a timely goal. You're just looking at it now. They're manufacturing it, which they might have to. The forwards just got their set shot radar off. This is what you've got to do. Just once it hits the ground, you've just got to have your smalls there to represent. Downey, you mentioned he was an ex-Hawk, so he knows exactly where the goals are. And that's a great finish. And finally, Port will be going, after all this effort, we're finally back in front.
Famously debuted in the AFL, Dicko, without actually playing. So he debuted as a sub and didn't get onto the ground in his first game. So
you've got to create history somehow, I suppose. All counts, Wikipedia.
Counts. Certainly does.
2 goals, 25 touches last week against Tasmania. Connor Downey gets an important goal to give his side the lead here as we tick towards half-time. Big tackle applied on that occasion by Polkinghorne, who's lifted in this second term. Borough with their tails up. Grant grabs it out of the ruck and handballs it inside 50. Bounce will work out for Bedendo. Polkinghorne again. Highmore dropped it in the end. Shipley was waiting to smother. Gobbled it up and hacked it away. Heard clean at ground level and then got rid of 2 would-be Swans tacklers. Did he get boot to ball the 3rd time? No. Swans can now rebound from their half-back line.
He certainly had an influence. He's up to 13 disposals now, Tom Hurd. But that one there, just trying to do too much. Had the opportunity to just get that one out.
Billy Cootie sends it out wide.
We didn't see this from the Swans in the first quarter, so this is a great method shift based on conditions.
Peters is wrapped up. We'll have a ball up on the wing. Pyth throws it into the air. Grant down to Clark, hooks the kick around the corner. A bouncy ball to half forward. Highmore, lovely hands on the burst towards goal, and it's been snuck home. Great goal from Jack O'Sullivan.
Oh, it was a great finish. They've missed their opportunities, but all of a sudden they're starting to get some scoreboard pressure back into their game. Jack O'Sullivan, you mentioned he was on the Hawks list as well, so you can see a really good clearance here. Just get on the boot any which way. Forwards will be in front, but then the wave of midfielders coming through in support, and O'Sullivan finishes that one. Port starting to get the territory game going, dominance, and the inside 50s, 24-18. So getting their looks here in the second quarter with the breeze.
Kicked a couple of goals against Tassie last week. Jack O'Sullivan has his first for the day. Port Melbourne trailed by 13 points at the start of his second quarter, now lead by 8. Nice little turnaround for them, and they're not done yet. Grant, clever paddle forward to O'Sullivan, spun out of trouble. Hurd again waiting to receive. Dumps it forward. Bounce important. Away from Bedendo. Handball from Green was clever. Highmore waiting for it, but he had Titterman for company on the outside there. Umpire hovers. Port Melbourne now can attack from their forward arc. 5-10 plays 5-2. O'Sullivan waiting to run onto it. Huddled away from him. Ryder holds it in. Umpire looks. Umpire calls. Holding the ball.
Surely, you know, if you're going to hatch it, get it out, especially in your defence. He's pleading his case, but good luck. Inside 50s this quarter, 16-5 in favour of Port.
Now they're getting scoreboard reward for effort.
Let's see what Max has learned from his last kick. I know he's closer to goal, but he did miss one from the same spot earlier in this quarter.
For a fourth straight Port Melbourne goal. They're humming at ETU Stadium.
And it's all the midfield, they're just rolling the sleeves up. We know defensively, they're turning the ball over in between the arcs, getting it nice and quick into the forwards. And we heard Macca saying they'll just have to adjust the way they're going to play this quarter, and they have. And they've adjusted better than the Swans have. You can see here, there's nothing better as a forward and you're lying on top of you. You know that ball's not coming out. And then Max Ryder finishes his work for this quarter, gets a goal. Port Adelaide, all momentum. Sorry, Port Melbourne, all momentum.
They were building towards this. They started the second quarter with 5 straight behinds, Dicko. Now they've kicked 4 goals, 1 from their next 5 scoring shots.
Nothing more frustrating. Scoreboard pressure's not there with a clear dominance in play.
To a new game-high 14-point lead. Shipley gets a handball away. It's stolen away almost by Stubbings. Ball ricochets to half forward. Big ball to be won here, and the Swans come up with it. Cleary, though, the hand pass didn't quite hit the target. Lugsden is run into a brick wall and is brought to ground. Umpire calls play on. Close to the line, Kyle hooks the kick around the corner. Bouncing ball, and now he's an opportunity. Phillippo wanted the free kick, didn't get it. Now it's won back by Port Melbourne. And Tovey sends it to half forward off hands. Shipley will be first there for the Swans. They can look to generate some run out of defence.
Gibbs involved. Easy disposals out there for the Swans at the moment. Caligari chips it high, 3-on-2 in favour of the Borough. Kyle attacked it hard, able to bring it to ground level. Giacometti got the hand pass off to Gibbs. Kick towards the wing, and good courage there shown by Titterman. Marks and plays on immediately. Can they get the handball game going here? Giacometti into the arc. Big fist there from Johnston. Waiting at ground level was Cootie. Can't quite step around. Tovey wins it back and finds Rankin, who takes the relieving mark. There's space on the outside. Does Jack O'Sullivan. Looks up. Tries to honour the lead at the back of Van Ez, and that is rewarded. He can have a look in the right forward pocket.
That is just a great lead, a lateral lead. So the defender's like, I'm in no man's land here. Is he going to go left, right? And you'll always find a lateral lead, especially when you've got the breeze. You're going to find the space. You'll see him come in left of screen here. That's hard to defend because he's got prime position there, gets to the front quite easily, takes a strong mark. You can see Port, their intent, they just want to move the ball so fast, get it in here and give these forwards every opportunity.
The defender come forward. James Van Ez kicks it like a defender on this occasion into the left forward pocket. And out of bounds on the full.
What a waste.
They've dominated the second quarter, the Borough. They've restored the lead in their favour. Hamling with the long kick out of defensive 50. It might be coming back. Flying shot towards goal is going to be out of bounds on the full, and so Sydney can do it all again from the exact same spot.
You can see Port, they're just stopping the switch here as well. So there's only one way this footy in one direction is going, down the line.
Gibbs, the Swans Academy member, sends it back to the half-back flank. Free kick for a hold going Sydney's way. It'll be Edwards and half-back for the Swans.
His fourth season with the Swans, Will Edwards. Had a wretched run with injury, the rookie. He's getting closer to that AFL debut. Ball thumped back into the middle here. George with the fancy footsteps. Jumps up via hand. Kick in board from Sparkman was well placed, and now Lugston spears it inside 50, but well wide of his intended target in Bedendo. He was a bit frustrated by the kick.
He's more frustrated, I think, from a hold as well, Bedendo. You could see the defender just holding that right arm, restricting his leading. Kick wasn't ideal either. Look at those inside 50s, 20-6 in this quarter. Clear dominance.
Ticking over, 28 minutes gone now in this second quarter. Borough by 14. Tovey and Kyle. Tovey wanted it more. Ripped it away. Kicked it forward. Thumped away from Port Melbourne. George pounces. And Edwards smothers it through for a behind. Is exciting, Roy George.
It's certainly exciting, creating some really good energy. All the smalls in their forward line are getting to work, getting front and square, putting pressure on this Sydney defence.
Edwards from the kick-in runs to the pocket, driving ball out wide to a contest. Oh, the fly from Philippo. Didn't get anywhere near it.
I'm not sure it was realistic, was it?
It's going to be thrown back in. In front of a healthy crowd here at ETU Stadium. Great day for footy. Important game for these two sides. Sydney still searching for their first win, coming off the bye last week. Lost to Box Hill by 36 in round one. Bottom on the ladder at the moment. Port Melbourne 1-1, sitting in 9th position. The ball in out the back. Sparkman couldn't take it with him. Coming through was Mellis. Couldn't quite get the possession away. Graham hacks it forward for the Borough. Off hands. George is lurking. What can he do from the pocket? Just couldn't quite make it talk enough. Through from behind. On the halftime siren here at the ETU Stadium. And what a dominant quarter it was from the home side. They needed to hit back. Sydney led by 4 at quarter time. A strange old game unfolding at the moment. Port with the first 2 goals of the game. The Swans hit back with the next 5 in a row either side of quarter time. They got out to a 13-point lead halfway through this second quarter before Port Melbourne found their range, and they've kicked the last 4 goals of the game to turn it around to lead by 16 at half-time. 5-2-32 plays 6-12-48. Here at ETU Stadium. It is, of course, Port Melbourne's first home game of the 2026 VFL season as we head downstairs to Sarah Bird.
Hey team, here with Port Melbourne's Tom Highmore. Tom, you guys were absolutely humming in that second quarter. What got into you?
Yeah, I mean, it probably took us a little while to get going. They're a good outfit. They're sort of hard working, but I think we started to just break them down, started to sort of win the ball around the contest, and then, you know, gave our forwards opportunities. So just need to start taking some of those opportunities, I think.
Well, it definitely looks like you switched things up in that second quarter. The inside 50 count is very, very well skewed towards you guys. Is that something you were told to focus on?
Well, it was probably a 3 or 4 goal breeze, I reckon, sort of heading down this way. But I think our mid sort of started to just get on top around the ball. Our defenders were able to press up, and then you sort of just create your own opportunities.
Beautiful. Thanks, Tom. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks to Sarah and Tom downstairs at halftime. It is Port Melbourne by 16 points. Super Saturday on Fox Footy coming up later. It is, of course, Richmond taking on Port Adelaide in the AFL. We've got a game on our hands here. VFL Round 3 action at the main break. It is Port Melbourne with the lead. 6-12-48 plays 5-2-32. We'll see you on the other side of the break. ETU Stadium in this VFL clash between the Port Melbourne Borough and Sydney Swans. The Borough dominated that second quarter to restore the lead in their favour. Sydney by 4 points at quarter time, but at half time it is Port Melbourne with a 16-point advantage thanks to a 4-2 second quarter. Jess Webster with you alongside Ben Dixon. Dicko, they had to make the opportunity of their breeze in the second quarter. They kicked 5 straight behinds to start the second term before the goals started flowing, but they really started to take control of the contest.
They did. They played a really uncontested game in the first quarter. Just tried to control the football, give their forwards every opportunity. And we can see it's a 2 or 3 goal breeze minimum to right a screen. So going into the second quarter, it was all about, okay, are they going to change their method here? Because the Swans were just sort of playing a +1 in defence. And then it was a case of, okay, what are you going to do different when you do get the breeze, which we know they didn't have their radar on early. They had some opportunities, but Port Melbourne has certainly taken this game by the throat. Their midfielders just controlled it through the middle. Their turnover, they're making the most of their opportunities. And we see this kick here. The breeze is doing plenty left to right. So every indicator right now in terms of contested possession, +27 for Port, clearances +11. So those two factors in the middle of the ground is just clear dominance from Port Melbourne. And the marking game +23, but I'm saying these because they're just controlling every facet of the game right now, and I think it's a really positive half of footy. Macca would be really proud on the way they changed their method in that second quarter.
A couple of goals to Dom Bedendo, takes his tally to 8 for the season. Spent a bit of time on the bench with an injury, but he's back out there kicking goals. Tom Hurd, of course, the son of James, the skipper of Port Melbourne, won their best and fairest last year. He's got 14 disposals and is doing some good stuff in the middle of the ground, Tico.
He is. He's effective, and that's the second quarter, especially that first 10 minutes. He controlled everything through there. He was the go-to. He was the playmaker, and you can see why. He won the best and fairest last year. He's just got quality and class written all over him, and he doesn't waste the possession. You can see he holds it that long to just for the right option to present, and then Porter getting the rewards for it.
So Port Melbourne Borough, they trail by 4 points at quarter time. If they hit back here in the second quarter, they lead by 16 points at the main break. Can they put together a solid next 2 quarters of footy and come away with their second win, or will Sydney get their opportunity with a breeze in the third quarter? We'll find out. Stay with us. We've got plenty more coming up after the break.
After 5 straight Swans goals, Port Melbourne needed something to generate some energy. And this Dom Bedendo beauty from the pocket certainly kick-started it. It was the first of 4 straight goals late in that second quarter. It gave the Borough a 16-point lead at half-time. Ben Waterworth with you alongside former Hawk Ben Dixon, who's been keeping a close eye on Sydney's ball movement throughout this VFL contest, Dicko. They started with probably some hack kicks forward, but they changed their method as the game progressed.
They did. They were just bombing the ball out of defence, and it was never going to work. They thought the breeze would take care of itself, but it was the handball game. This is what Sydney's DNA is. The run of numbers, you can see their shape. There's a 4v1. They just outnumber you in transition, and this got them back into the game. But you can just see how good their handball game is. This is 5 handballs out of defence. Look at all the Port players chasing, and look at the space the forwards have got to work in. That's what you want to do against Port here, especially at their home ground, and going into the breeze. You've got to run and carry. The forwards will do the work once you get it there, but they certainly changed their method, and it's another adjustment in the third quarter coming up.
Yeah, let's see how they fare on the other side of the break. But this is our Easter lineup here on Fox Footy. Right after this, the siren goes here at ETU Stadium. We're heading to the MCG for the Tigers and Port Adelaide. Then tonight, we're in the West. The West Coast Eagles, hot team to watch at the moment, taking on Sydney. Melbourne and the hot Gold Coast Suns tomorrow. Then Sunday night footy, Western Bulldogs and Essendon. Another big one, Hawthorn and Geelong, which you are psyched for, Dicko, on Easter Monday.
I can't. I'm so pumped. I love this game. It's a great rival of ours, and I'll be there in full flight for the Hawkers.
Third quarter here in the VFL on the other side of this.
footy unfolding here at ETU Stadium, VFL Round 3 action, and at half-time, Port Melbourne, who dominated that second quarter. They trailed by 4 points at quarter time to hit back in the second and take a 16-point advantage into the main break, searching for their second win of the 2026 season, while the Swans looking to get on the winners list for the first time this season. Jess Webster with you alongside Benny Waterworth, Ben Dixon, and it's Birdie on the boundary. Hello, Sarah.
That's okay. Hello, guys. I'm here with the busiest man on earth this weekend. Such a good thing for you to come down here to the VFL on such a busy day for you. Thank you so much for being here. Now, I've seen there's lots of kids that you've given some chocolate out today. Is there good vibes around here? Yeah, this is a thing. Easter Bunny's non-verbal, but we like it. We like it. Thank you so much for being out here for such a fantastic game too. You chose a good one. The conditions are great. That southeasterly has gotten up just a little bit, and as we said earlier, Harrison Podmore-Taylor is out for the Swans. And Easter Bunny, thank you so much for being here. Good luck with your busy night tonight.
Great stuff, Birdie on the boundary. You got to get all the big stars coming down and watch VFL action, Dicko.
Big on grand final day for the Easter Bunny.
100%. I tried that once. I tried to interview Humphrey B. Bear. Yeah, didn't go well. Pretty much the same result. But it is a big second half for the Swans. If they're looking for their first win of the season, they've got to change something, because that second quarter, they got absolutely dominated by Port and their method and the way they were going about it. So you can see the great man, James Hurd and Nick Malcheski. Hurdy had a big influence down there at Port.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the players that I've spoken to just absolutely loving his involvement.
And I think there's probably something that was needed as well, because since they're a very proud club, the Borough, and one of the oldest clubs in the land, very successful in the VFA, then now into the VFL. But the last 5 seasons, 17th, 16th, 15th, 16th, 22nd. So that's since the new VFL, where we've brought in the 4 northern clubs as well. Now Tasmania this year, so they've needed a bit of a spark. I think that the wheels started to turn, and we've already seen this is their 3rd game so far, and they've been pretty competitive in all their games, and now lead by 16 points over the Swans. Underway here in the 3rd quarter, ETU Stadium, cracking day for footy. Clark, clean clearance out to Tom Hurd. And then inside 50 go the Borough. Almost marked there by Highmore. George waiting to pounce at ground level. O'Sullivan is there as well. He overran the ball. Giacometti, Gibbs, fumble. O'Sullivan, how did he get rid of that? There's a whistle on play for a push in the back. And it's going to be coming back to Port Melbourne.
There's probably a couple of free kicks in that passage of play there, but it will fall with Highmore. And if we can go by the shots in the first quarter especially, this will be outside left post and just come hard right if the conditions are consistent with what we saw in the first half.
It's a star defender back in the old Neefle, Tom Highmore. Got a gig in the Sandful, which then led to 3 seasons at St Kilda. Playing a bit more forward in recent times for Port Melbourne. And they need his goal-kicking boots on right now. It's low, and it's offline.
Well, that did the total opposite of what we've seen in the second quarter, so I'll have to get a weather update there at the moment, see if it has changed. But let's just see what the Swans do. If the breeze is going to right a screen, they were playing it a very long game, and they had it in the first quarter.
He's the oldest player out there for Port Melbourne today, Tom Highmore, 28 years of age. He's probably not going to be happy with me mentioning that, but has been around state league footy for a long time. Started as a 16-year-old back in the Neefle, as Benny mentioned. Still with St Kilda in the AFL. Here he is with Port Melbourne. Here's a chance for George, trying to keep it alive for the Borough. Cleary gets a handball away. That ball is going to be locked up. And it's going to be a free kick for high contact as we head downstairs to Sarah.
Yeah, guys, you're right. The wind has changed a little bit. It's still southeasterly, but I think it's just dropped a little bit. It's actually beautiful conditions down here now.
It's a glorious day for footy at North Port Oval. Cootie sends it to a contest on the wing. It's off hands, close to the line. Van Ness tried to tap it forward. He's kept it alive by the Swans, maybe only momentarily. It does eventually go out of play, and it will be thrown back in.
Well, this will show you the maturity of both groups. If the wind has died down, then we're just going head-to-head. with no real advantages, and the Swans will play their handball game, and Port will just roll the sleeves up, play a really contested inside game, because they have dominated all the clearances so far in this game.
Shipley trying to run onto it. There's Cleary there for support. Caden Cleary was one of those players at the Swans. Dicko, who's just sort of on, can be on the edge of that best 23. Did play an AFL game, now back down on the VFL. But the important thing is that when he comes back down to VFL level, he makes the most of his time there. As the ball goes inside 50 to McLean, who takes a clean mark on the chest.
Right, if you're coming down to the VFL level, you've got to look a level above. You've got to show the repeatable skill, you've got to show the acceleration, you've got to show all the... And you can know. You know a listed player when you see it in the VFL, and it's not disrespectful to the competition and the standard, it's just... That's why you're in the AFL system, because you're showing that level of excellence. As we see Hayden McLean put this one in the book. He's a beautiful shot at goal.
You heard it here first. Hayden McLean from 40 metres out. Put it in the book. What a finish from Hayden McLean. Much needed goal for the Swans. They break a 4-goal run by the Borough.
He's got a very nice routine set shot on goal, and you can just see this once again. A leading lane. Got rid of his opponent quite easily, but just open those leading lanes up. Let your forwards come through and finish their work. That's a great start for Sydney in the third quarter.
First goal of the afternoon to Hayden McLean is sitting on 98 AFL games, so he's a couple away from a milestone if he can get back to the top level, as we see the last 10 scores of a dominant patch from Port Melbourne Borough, and the Swans have hit back, and they're back to within a couple of goals.
Don't worry, it's a nervous 90s. You know as a player when you're getting closer, and if you're in the VFL season, you're like, oh, am I ever going to see 100?
Clark feeding it out, scrapping a kick forward, but it's going to be a turnover. Bowman has done some nice things today. Out wide to Cootie. First look for the mature age recruit today. Had a hip injury in the pre-season.
Well, this is certainly different. You can just see them just not wanting to give the possession back to Port. They'll kick it round, make them defend, and as soon as they get centre forward, you watch them go.
Edwards, or the hand pass, missed the target in Shipley. Now the ball is in dispute. Edwards gets a handball out. Now a chance for the Borough. Free kick whistle on play for holding the ball. Good work by Sydney.
So Hanley was dispossessed, rather won the free kick, and now a kick inside 50. Port Melbourne with numbers at the back. George, was he able to get a hand pass away? Nice win back from the Swans. As far though as Hawkins, risky kick in the middle, but now in good hands through Hurd. Linking up with Seston, who goes straight down the middle of ETU Stadium, and what a pass. Hawkins received. Seston again, back to Hawkins. They build it up from behind centre. Hurd inside 50. Up went Van Ez. All Sydney at ground level. Hand pass from Snell, though, missed the target. Oh, interesting tackle there from Titterman.
Pulver driver.
Yeah, had to be real careful. Highmore just a little worse for wear as he makes his way to his feet.
Explain that again, Dicko.
Well, he had him pinned, and you can just see in the bottom of the screen, just once he had him pinned, just dumped his head into the turf. He actually got up spitting grass out. So, you know, had a nice chunk of it.
Bowman hacks it forward. How does the bounce go? Graham, Baldwin. High tackle, and advantage is going to be paid. If they get a kind bounce, and they do. Stubbings in the Seston direction. Won the ball at ground level, continues to move it forward. Chip kick is read best by the Swans, so he can send it back the other way. They've got to open forward 50 to work with. Filippo screaming for it. The kick just didn't quite hit the target. Baldwin comes in to lend a hand. Hands it to Sparkman. It's a good kick, and they can breathe a sigh of relief here, the Borough.
Filippo just need to pull back real quick and then pull the trigger just off one step. You've got to have real class if you're going to execute that.
Seston caught in two minds. He's kicked it out of bounds. Lasso free kick. Error there from the Borough, and now can the Swans pounce inside 50. At the back, you can't believe it. Joel Hamling has kicked a goal. Sitting in the goal square, the ball fell into his lap and he lets the Borough defence know all about it.
I don't mind that. They've switched him from defence. He's pushed forward. And when you've got the breeze, this is what, over the back, every time, either a small forward or your hybrid forward. I mean, Joel's been around long enough to know that that ball's going to the last line and gets reward. Normally see him down defence defending. Great to see him get in the offensive play.
Well, when he did play a season in the VFL back in 2024, predominantly forward, and he kicked 31 goals from 17 games, but primarily throughout his 15 seasons on AFL this Dicko, he's been down in defence, but the move forward has got the Swans back within 5 points.
He's only kicked 3 AFL career goals, Joel Hamling.
It is nice, though. I spent a year down in defence. When you go back forward, I was like, you can learn so much, in terms of the play. So, I wasn't happy about it.
Did you want to settle down there, did you?
Not really,
okay.
No, I said to Peter Shaw, I said, I don't think this is my go.
Yeah, and just enjoyed your little holiday back in defence.
I tried to do what, most defenders do, and that's not pick up and try and get 30 disposals.
Sydney have closed the gap. 2 unanswered goals in this third quarter. It's been that kind of game. Breeze heading towards the right of screen. Sydney by 4 at quarter time. Port Melbourne by 16 at the half. Detoli sends the Swans forward again. Big one-on-one contest and a big contested grab to Hamling.
He's eyeing off a bag now. He's kicked a goal a minute ago. He's going to get his second opportunity here, Joel. But that was just smart. I mean, that's experience. The ability to just move your opponent. Looked like it was going to be a clearance and great intercept, but you see this as it goes in. He just moves him off his spot, just centre of gravity, just moved it slightly and protected the drop of the ball.
Kicked a bag of 5 for the Swans in the VFL back in 2024. He's got back-to-back goals in 2 minutes here, Joel Hamling. And the Swans are back in front.
Well, no one's kicked over 2 goals. He's been in there 2 minutes and kicked 2 goals. So, great move to push him forward and offer something that probably hadn't seen in the first half. Just see here, that's just a great intercept. But Joel just moves him off his line, just takes his weight away. And I think he let him know about it too, as I would have.
Second time he's had a crack there at Kane Baldwin, Joel Hamling. Walking the walk at the moment. He's got the Swans' last 2 goals. Nick Malcheski's side back in front at ETU Stadium. And they're going to be going forward again through Cleary. Inside 50. Big thump from behind from Johnston. He puts it over the paint. Forward 50 stoppage now for Sydney. +4 inside 50 so far in this third quarter. Swans looking for their first win of the VFL season, going down to Box Hill by 6 goals in the season opener. Mellis fed it out to Cootie. Kick smothered off the boot. Lands fortuitously into the lap of Grant, who miskicks it down the throat of Mellis. They can build up here, Sydney, but there's a lot of blue and red jumpers back. Mellis puts it to the teeth of goal. Big crash there. Hamling was involved, able to bring the ball to ground. Graham caught, just got a handball out, and cleverly done in the end by Ryder to rush the minor.
Under siege at the moment, the defence there for Port. You can see they're just peppering the goals. The Swans here started this third quarter in fine fashion.
Dreyer to Rankin, back to Dreyer, not the required distance that kick was. Dreyer receive the hand pass. Port Melbourne look to run it out of defence. Here's Sparkman, long down the line to a one-on-one. It's a good mark taken in the air from Bowman. Pick number 26 back in the 2024 draft. Finds Kai Gibbs, member of the Swans Academy. Driving ball back to half forward. McLean presents again.
All right, I've just got to put this one in the book again. I've got to back over it. But once again, with the wind.
Similar position.
Similar position. I mean, off half back, the long bomb in, using the breeze. Hayden was fully aware it was going to land in his vicinity, and that's a great contested mark. just started really hot in this quarter. The Swans have just had their head in the game right from the get-go here.
Played 19 games of AFL last year. This from outside 50. McLean for his second. And the Swans are flying 4 in a row.
Sorry about that. I'm just big fan when the big guys get down there, take contested mark and finish your work. That's just the scoreboard pressure you want, especially in this third quarter, searching for their first win of the season. Look at this, high bomb in. That's the experience, just holds his ground. Everyone's competing. He knows exactly where that drop of the ball was going. And another super finish.
Kick with some authority, that one by Hayden McLean. So the 4 goals to Sydney this quarter have come from their 2 experienced key position players. McLean with a couple, and then Hamling with a couple as well. Could it be the difference in the game, just the presence of those forward 50 players for the Swans? McLean with a big bump there on Clark, who hits the deck, then follows up. And you sense McLean's got a bit of a point to prove at the moment. The Charlie Curnow trade, McLean hasn't played in an AFL game so far this season. He's got a point to prove.
He certainly does, and you just got to change it up. So whatever you were previously doing, as you said, the dynamics changed in their forward line. So if you want to find yourself back into this team, you've got to find a way. Do something different, crash and bash. Show that you can actually add something to your game that they haven't seen.
It's been Logan McDonald and Armadi who have held their spots in the team with Curnow coming in. So McLean, as Jess mentioned, it's just on those 98 AFL games still. 8-point lead here for Sydney, halfway through this third quarter. It's been a day of momentum swings, serious momentum swings at ETU Stadium. Detoli trying to run onto the ball. Picked up by Hurd, hoping for Tovey, who sees the ball over the line. But you've liked the look of Josh Tovey so far, Dicko.
I have 18 disposals so far, but he's just smart. Just makes really clever decisions. And Tom Hurd's the same, 18 disposals, but they just look like they're in full control when the ball's in their hand.
Just his 11th game at this level, Josh Tovey, the 20-year-old. Plenty of upside. Green dispossessed, no free kick. Shipley doing the hard work at ground level. He's wrapped up.
Good midfielders hold the ball, like they don't rush their decisions, and both those players, you can see when they get it, that little bit more time to execute and not waste a possession.
The ball up, Cleary can't keep it alive. We'll have it thrown back in. Caden Cleary today, 13 disposals, 4 inside 50s, 4 tackles. Looking to make an impact at this level and earn his place back in the AFL lineup. 12 AFL games last year for Caden Cleary, 18 for his career. Tovey under pressure, stands his ground.
Good size at 195 centimetres, Josh Tovey. His kick, though, put his teammate under the pump, but Green was up to the task. Overrun there by Rankin. Tovey again releases Hurd. Those two link up so well for the Borough. Hurd's kick towards a one-on-one. Edwards with the decisive spoil. Cleary, good composure shown. Held the ball back. Now Kyle to Shipley. Linking up through the middle of the ground. A high kick from Mellis inside 50 through the hands of McLean. Hamling at the back. Big ball here for Sparkman. Did well. Great composure under the pump. Rankin has to find a teammate. Skews off the side of the boot. I don't know if Baldwin was his target, but it comes off nonetheless for the Borough.
Never seen a check side in defence backwards to hit a player, but we'll pay it.
Some nervy moments. Hawkins up in the Bedendo direction, couldn't hang on to the mark, but at ground level finds Green. His tar is looking for Clark. It was knocked away from him. It's close to the line. It's kept alive. Cleary turns around. Kicks it up towards half forward. Gets out the back. Who's there for the Swans? As the cavalry arrives for Port Melbourne. Rankin. His hand pass missed Hurd. Opens the door for the Swans. Titterman had a play out at Shipley's also there. Ball is locked up. Umpire calls for it.
Just keep your eye on Tovey and Hurd at this stoppage. You pointed it out before, Benny. They're just got a great understanding of each other's game and an awareness of what's around them.
At the moment, Hurd's off the back of the stoppage, almost unmanned. There he is. Players go to him now. He's wrapped up.
Yeah, the high forward will always come up late, take the back stoppage, try and take that threat away.
Shipley just got boot to ball. He's starting to have a big influence on this contest. Rankin bombs it out of there. Van Ez in front, brought it to ground, but well read there by Giacometti. Edwards thumps it back forward. At the back, McLean had to sit. Well played Johnston. McLean, in the end, couldn't quite find Titterman. It's over the line and out of bounds.
A big 5 or 6 minutes, Hayden McLean.
Yeah.
Kicked a couple of goals today, but just really throwing himself at every marking opportunity.
He's done a fair bit of ruck work. Harrison, Podmore, Taylor, their ruck is done for the day. It's Everton doing the ruck work on this occasion, the 18-year-old. Mellis round the body, bounce. Didn't do Tidman any favours. And Tidman, though, has been held without the ball, so he can set up the Swans here from just outside the paint. Puts it to the... Well, I don't know where he's going in the end.
Not sure what that kick was.
In the end, will be a boundary throw-in.
I don't think McLean led there either. I think he was just tracking the ball, thinking it was going to the top of the square, so that was a nothing kick in the end.
Swans with the last 4 goals of the game. The only 4 goals of the second quarter. Port Melbourne led by 16 at half-time. Pressing forward again. Tovey just put out the hand pass to Green. Bombs it out of the danger zone. Van Ez from behind knocks it forward, but the Swans are well set up and they can repel and go forward again. Not the best of kicks. George for the Borough slips a tackle, then looks to hit a target inside the centre circles and does, and Bedendo has kicked 2 goals today. Search and kick inside forward 50, a rare forward 50 opportunity for Port Melbourne, and they've got a mark through Jack O'Sullivan.
Rare opportunity, you've just nailed that. It's just been a clear dominance from the Swans this quarter. Marks inside 50, that's their first. But it was a better ball movement. They had to fight. It was never going to be pretty because Sydney had certainly got the numbers sitting across half back. But this is a great opportunity just against the play to get themselves back in this quarter.
Kicked a lovely goal on the run in the second quarter. Let's see what he can do from a set shot opportunity. His side needs this for a bit of confidence late in this third quarter. In he comes, O'Sullivan. And he pokes it through. Just a response that Port Melbourne needed.
Yeah, well, the Swans, you know, making the most of the third quarter and the breeze, but they wouldn't want to let Port Melbourne back into this contest in this quarter because you've got to take full advantage of that breeze. We said it was about 2 or 3 goals. And Port get one against the run of play, gives them a little sniff, goes back to the middle of the ground where they've dominated the centre clearances with Hurd, Tovey, especially today. So a nice one there to just get them back on track.
5 straight Sydney goals, responded with 4 straight Port Melbourne goals, responded with 4 straight Sydney goals. And now Port Melbourne, can they get on their own run as we tick towards the back end of this third quarter? Up high went Ryan. Grant able to get the clearance away. Ryan goes again with Shipley. The ball's locked in the middle of the ground. 2-point lead for Sydney. Grant decisively down. Tovey waiting on the outside. Ball spills free to George. Whenever he gets the footy, just something happens, a burst of energy. Edwards reads it well off hands, just gets the hand pass away. Harrison receives it. And a lovely pickup on that occasion by Peters, who kept the ball moving forward with momentum. Hanley trying to pounce on the ball now. Picked up there by Heatherton and snapped forward by the Swans inside. 50 at the back, Hamling had it thumped away from him. It doesn't stay in play. Well, the Swans have a forward 50 stoppage to work with.
Well, they're working in a phone box on that wing, but just to get it back inside 50, he's looked a real threat in this quarter, Hamling and McLean. You can see just at the bottom of the screen there. So
And those two are combined for the Swans 4 goals. McLean and Hamling 2 apiece. Umpire throws the ball back into play. Sparkman hands it to Rankin. Now Seston. Port Melbourne can exit the danger zone only momentarily. That's out of bounds on the full. There'll be a free kick going the Swans' way. Peters send them back into attack.
Well, this one just needs to go back in nice and deep. Landed about 20 out.
He does exactly that, Dicko. Big pack inside forward. 15 is the man of the moment. Hamlin comes down with a big contested grab.
When you got two forwards down there that have got great AFL experience, that know body positioning, they can take contested marks, they're smart. You just got to get it in, get your reward. Joel Hamlin going for his third.
For his third, in the third. Looks like a natural forward.
3 goals in his AFL career. Played a lot of defence, knows the tricks of the trade, gives a high five to a young fan on the fence. That's great engagement. But you can see it was always going to 20 out. It was just a matter of who was going to mark it. Joel, once again, at the back of the pack, knows it's going to carry that little bit more with the breeze, positions himself beautifully, takes a good contested mark, nice snap finish. And the Swannies get back to lead.
His 3 goals, 3 in his AFL career all came last year. So he is in good goal-kicking form at this stage of his career at 32 years of age.
Yes, he's very hot to trot. Yeah. 3 straight.
Certainly giving Kane Baldwin, one of Port Melbourne's prime movers, something to think about as well. Cleary can't escape the herd tackle. Umpire called play on. Rankin with the don't argue and the fancy footwork. Retreats to Highmore. Port Melbourne can build from the back here.
Just nailed it, Benny, I think. Retreat. They retreat. They're on the back foot right here.
And Sparkman has to use Johnston for support. Not a convincing kick either. Bedendo must pass along the grass there. But Titterman brings Downey over the line and the Swans' tails right up here in Port Melbourne. 8-point lead for Nick Malcheski's side, 10 goals, 3. So the Borough's 7-13, so 13 scoring shots to 20. Boundary throw in. Grant had the body position there. Cleary working hard, but George able to get the hand pass away. Hurd on the outside to Rankin, who's getting busy for the Borough. Now they link up by a hand. George to Ryder. Interesting kick. It was almost a snap kick forward towards Bedendo. Landed in the lap of Harrison, who has some wheels and some confidence. Tumbles it forward. Dropped there by Hanley. They're trying to keep the ball moving forward at speed, the Swans. There's a push in the back. It's coming back to Port Melbourne.
How big does this lead need to be for the Swans, given the strength of the breeze in the final quarter, Dicko?
Well, it's got to be 20. Yeah, if it's not 20 points, you're up against it.
Sparkman, former best and fairest winner with North Ballarat. Whistle on play for a push Sydney's way. Patrick Snell. Played footy all over the world. I was going to say Southern Districts in the NT. Wilson Grange in Queensland, from a member of the Lions Academy. Now drafted to the Swannies. Good work done. Aligari, though, is wrapped up in a strong tackle and rewarded.
Tom Graham smashed him. He wasn't getting through that. He just hit a brick wall. That was a great defensive tackle from Tom Graham in that instance. They were out too, the Swans.
Winds up, sends it to a contest down the line. Good body work from Clark. Takes the grab, hands it off. Stubbings shoots it into the pocket, but it's going to be intercepted.
Snell, right place, right time, but Stubbings didn't do Bedendo any favours with the kick either. So Snell kicks to a pack. McLean almost took the mark of the day. Comes to ground level. It's a lasso free kick going the way of Sydney. There's a clean hand pass away from the Borough.
I think he only dropped that because you'll see on a replay, I think he got up that high. He was worried about what he was going to do when he fell.
He'll have the kick now. Falls short of his intended target. Rankin, excellent pick up below his knees. Left foot from towards George, who got rid of his opponent, but never touched the ball. So rinse and repeat. Lasso free kick for Cleary, who goes into the middle. Bowman. Well, dominance at times across half-back for Sydney. The switch is complete now. Gibbs, handball inboard. Snell provides the dash from the back. Handball over the top to Shipley. Linking up via hand. Lovely step from Kyle. Inside 50, that is a glimpse of the talent of Harry Kyle on display. And he finds Jesse Tatoli.
It was just smart. They switched the ball. Switching the ball asked the Port players to defend. And they just switched it, came straight back the inside. And this one here, you'll get a look every day of the week as a forward when you're switching the ball and you're coming direct, because the defenders are trying to scramble. And on that occasion, takes a great mark with the breeze here. You find the distance no problem at all.
Seriously talented player, Jesse Tatoli, picked 22 back in the 2024 draft. He's an emerging star, and that is a serious kick from a serious young talent.
How easy was that when he hit that? It just shows you the strength of the breeze. But like I said, Jess, it has to be 20. They've got to make the most of the advantage with the breeze this quarter. You see Nick Malcheski obviously wanting to take the full advantage, and it was just great ball movement. Once again, they had 5 intercept marks to 0 to Port, so they've controlled the airways, and their forwards have stepped up. McLean 2, Hamling 3. Tatoli here, just a beautiful finish there, and the Swans kick away.
2 goals in their round 1 loss to Box Hill, and now he's backed it up with another couple here. Jesse Tatoli, the 3rd multiple goal scorer for Sydney this afternoon. So they've got the lead, but is it enough? Port Melbourne will come home with the breeze in the final quarter. Cleary tried to get a kick away. Green's there for Port, couldn't take the footy with him. Now it ends up with Rankin in some space, hands it to Stubbings, back to Rankin, slips the tackle. Just slips the second tackle. They still move it forward. Lugsden to Stubbings, close to the boundary line, keeps it alive. And then eventually it goes out of play.
Rankin can break a tackle. He's just got a great low centre of gravity, keeps himself in the powerful position.
Up to team high 22 disposals. He had 12 touches in this 3rd quarter alone, Lockie Rankin, having a big say. Lugsden brought down. He's not going anywhere. So we tick over 30 minutes gone in the 3rd. The Swans with this 14-point advantage, but the Borough will have the breeze at their back in the 4th. Can they get one against the flow here, Port Melbourne? Stepping through Kyle. Cootie slams it forward. Gather was clean there from Filippo. A step back inside from Caligari. Back towards Filippo. Just lost his footing, but Caligari, that's an impressive kick. Almost on the grass there. But the Borough win it back, but they run out of time. And as we turn for home here at ETU Stadium, the Swans hold a 14-point advantage. 11-3 plays 7-13. 4th quarter coming up on the other side of this.
Sydney needed a response in the third quarter. Their two most experienced players out there today, Hayden McLean and Joel Hamling, stepped up with over 200 AFL games between them. They kicked 5 of Sydney's 6 goals in that third quarter to turn a 16-point deficit at halftime into a 14-point lead as we turn towards the final quarter here at ETU Stadium. VFL Round 3 action. Great to have your company wherever you're watching. Jess Webster with you alongside Ben Waterworth and Ben Dixon. Dicko, you called for a 20-point margin at three-quarter time. That would be enough for Sydney to potentially hang on in the last. They've got 14.
Yeah, well, they've fallen short. I said 20 as a benchmark, considering that it's been pretty consistent 3-goal. Probably advantage to the right of screen, which Port will kick with in the last. But you mentioned the tall timber for Sydney and McLean and Hamling. I think based on these conditions, you probably have Hamling go back into defence just to consolidate. Based on there's going to be some entries. They clearly dominated the inside 50s in that quarter, the Swans, 18-5. So if they're going to get that sort of look this quarter, Port, I'd want my best defenders down there and the smarts of those guys and their experience.
Joel Hamling with the 3 majors all coming in that third quarter. So too Hayden McLean with his couple. Jesse Tatoli as well has 2 goals to his name. Let's take you into the Swans camp because Sarah Bird is with their coach, Nick Malcheski.
I am. Nick, you must be pretty happy with that last quarter. What have you guys got to do to lock it away?
Yeah, I thought our contest picked up really a fair bit in our work rate and roll. So we just need to do that again into the wind and hopefully we can hold up and win.
Yeah, kicking into the wind has proven to be a little bit more difficult. Also, we wanted to ask about Harrison Podmore-Taylor. How's his health? Is he all right?
Yeah, he's fine. He's got a knock to the head, so we just made a call on him just to come off. So he's good.
Thanks, Nick.
Lovely, thank you.
Thanks to Nick Malcheski downstairs with Sarah Burt. What do you want to see from Port Melbourne in particular when they do have a bit of a breeze advantage in this fourth quarter, Dicko?
Well, just not stuff around with it. I mean, over handballing and overthinking it can cost you. Just we've seen if you pepper inside 50, you're going to get opportunities. So it's a weight of numbers game. And I just want Port to be as direct as they possibly can, because using this breeze and the forwards up there that we will represent, we've seen them, their smalls dominate inside 50 today. So I just want to see them as direct as they possibly can and not really over-possess it.
So there's Harrison Podmore-Taylor on screen. He was the ruck brought in to replace Peter Laddams today. Bit of a blow there, but it hasn't necessarily impacted or hindered the Swans at stoppages. 14-point lead for Sydney, looking for their first VFL win of the season. The Borough looking for their second. Borough defeated Sandringham in round 1 by 14 points. Lost a classic game against Tassie in Launceston last week by 8. And they will start the fourth quarter 14 points in arrears.
And you give Sydney what they'll be thinking is we're in front, we're playing to win. So it'll be aggression. There won't be any defence in what they do until the game gets tight. So they're in position A right now. So they will drop the hammer and try and put this away.
Grant and Ryan go at it in the middle. Green trying to run onto it. Does get hands to the ball. And then a hand pass out to Hurd. He couldn't find a teammate. Green goes again. Dreyer. Now Shipley kicks it off the ground, but only as far as Seston. He tried to thread the needle by hand. Didn't come off. Cootie. Hand pass out wide. And now Peters with a long searching kick inside 50. No one was able to get hands to the ball in the end. Baldwin with a clever tap, but it might be to the advantage of Titterman. Back to Hanley, who's crafty in this situation. Centres it through the hands of Seston. Into the lap of Tovey. George sweeps the hand pass over the top. Puts his teammate under the pump, but George wins it back. Then a left foot scrubber of a kick towards half forward. Bowman will be first to meet it here for the Swans. Couldn't gather cleanly. They're out over the top here. Ryder receives. Hand pass further afield only as far as Kyle. George ensures he's not going anywhere.
Well, that was the case, wasn't it? They just had their numbers. They were handballing, made it up. Find themselves inside 50 for the first time this quarter.
Grant with the tap down to George. Sydney come up with a footy. Now out of defence. Searching kick to the wing. It's going to bounce towards the boundary line. They've got to touch it, otherwise it'll be last disposal. Great work from Hanley to keep it alive. Little fumble. Opens the door. Dreyer's there for Port Melbourne. Seston, lovely spin. Handball over the top. Green looks for a target up ahead in the Highmore direction. Knocked away from him by Gibbs. It spills to the pocket. Snell for the Swans. Handball's towards the boundary line. It's going to go out and it'll be thrown back in.
Big quarter for the Tools of Port Melbourne, Dicko, because we saw how the Tools took over for the Swans in that third quarter. Can their opposite numbers do the same for the Borough?
Yeah, it's also don't overuse it. Just get it into your Tools as quick as you can. Give them some isolation opportunities. And Port have been just on a number of occasions just overusing that handball through the middle, which can cost you. Don't you love VFL heckling?
You wouldn't know, Dicko. You never played VFL.
No, that's true. That's true. I've been down there to watch that. It's very amusing.
The heckles you would have got if you did play VFL.
Yes.
I would have got plenty.
Yeah. Pushing the back, going the way of the Borough. Free kick here for Green, who's coming up for disposal number 23. 16 contested possessions. Big game from him at the coalface. Fly from the side was from Tovey. Kick away there from Shipley. Cleary with an important gather there. And he goes right down the middle of the ground. Big win there from Baldwin. Had to paddle it in front of himself because they were on out the back. Detoli threw it away, holding the ball. And they can attack here, the Borough.
Hurd was unbelievable there. He was never going to get through. Just wrapped him up beautifully.
Hurd searching for a target up ahead. He found one, just couldn't hang on, was Van Ness. At the fall, the ball right towards the teeth of goal. Spills to the safety of Kyle, the young draftee. He can exit the danger zone to a contest. Hamling read it best in the air, got rid of Baldwin, wants to quickly move it on. Hannelly with a burst of speed. Put his teammate and Tideman under pressure, wrapped up by Green. Umpire says it'll be a ball up.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
You see Joel Hamling, though, that's smart. You've got to get nice and high, kicking into the breeze, give some representation on the wings as a key forward.
And the umpire would have been assessing there. Did he take the tackler on momentarily? Was that his prior opportunity? Nonetheless, the ball up was the call. Spills to the back here. Green involved again. Downey. Oh, has he done enough there to get the ball out? He has not. Holding the ball, the call. And Cootie has the footy. Disposal number 15 coming up for him. Congested forward line, though. Keeps it low. Trying to put it into the lap of Heatherton. Forced to Seston. Tovey fumbled at a bad time. And that just allows the Swans an opportunity to lock it up inside their 50. Shipley now forces the ball up.
This is...
Tap down to Hurd. Skies it out of the danger zone. Genuine one-on-one on the wing. It's brought to ground. Polkinghorn swoops. Hacks the kick to half forward. It'll bounce in front of Edwards. Has to get rid of it. Did just in the nick of time. Giacometti. Now Cleary. Hands it off. Kyle. They link up by hand again. Cometti. The two draftees combine. The kick didn't hit the target. But it spills away of Detoli. Pokes it inside forward 50. A bouncing ball out to Meter. Great tackle. Two players with their eyes for the footy only. Filippo one way and Johnston the other.
Great contest. You see here, get off the track with the trains coming through. What's this? Bang! Great technique.
And Harvey Johnston's a big 195-centimetre guy. Ivan Filippo is 19 years of age in his first season in the AFL VFL system. Great work from him. And now a big opportunity for Billy Cootie, who's really played a big role in Swans' chains today. The ball moving through the middle. He's been very prominent for the Swans.
I like the fact he's going back for a shot here. It's going to be a tough kick. Be right into the teeth of the breeze.
Coming up for his 17th disposal of the match. Invested a pretty early draft pick in the Swans last year. And Cootie misses everything, and the Norman Goss stand lets him know all about it.
Sure did.
Well, at least it's in their forward half, so just lock it in now. Just force a long kick to Port, because they have chipped it around, have maintained possession. Hurd's been unbelievable today in controlling the midfield brigade.
Lovely kick out wide to Johnston. Still no score in nearly 7 minutes of this final quarter. Swans hanging on to their 14-point lead at three-quarter time. They led by 4 at quarter time. Port Melbourne by 16 at the half. Port trying to take advantage of this breeze in the final quarter. Kyle out to meet it. Ball in dispute in the middle. Mellis is wrapped up. We've got a ball up.
Yeah, it's just the clock killers here, isn't it? They're just really not taking advantage, Port, when they're in possession.
We've got to play it down. Sorry, Dicko. That's why we've got a little break and play. Bowman's a bit slow to his feet, but looking like he's running back into position now. And a restart play. Green to Tovey. Jams it on the boot, high up and under. Tough one to mark. Players tangle, free kick.
Yeah, clearly grabbed in that contest. Once again, just that high sky ball, shallow entry, giving the Swans back to possession.
Snell to Edwards. The booming right foot kick. Looking into the sun there was Heatherton, but had no one around him. Plays on quickly to Peters. From one end to the other, pretty quickly go the Swans. At the fall of the ball is McLean. Great gather. The big man doing the crumbing work and finding Hanley. He marks just inside the field of play.
And Hayden will say he passed that. I'm not so sure. But against the run, once again, Port Melbourne stuffing around with it in the middle of the ground.
Fancy himself from this opportunity. Hanley, he's off to the right, so they can't quite bury the borough yet, the Swans.
Yeah, 15's not enough. As we said, with this 2 to 3 at least, breeze advantage to right a screen, which Port will have. They've got to be able to use it.
Good build up so far from the kick in. Now a high up and under kick to no one in particular at half forward, and Edwards in position A.
You got to know as you forward, Port forwards have got to know you have to represent a kick away. There was no one there. He read that play beautifully.
Port Melbourne with the numbers. Dreyer at it best and takes the grab. They can look to do it all again. Will wind up and bomb it to a contest at half forward. And it's killed out of bounds. Have it thrown back in at half forward for the Borough.
Even that contest there was 4 Swans to 1 Port player. You have to have representation, 60 metres. Just when you're 60 metres away, you're in play. If you're 70, you're out of play. So there's no point having your deep forwards resetting. You have to have them up at the ball.
Beautiful side here at Port Melbourne. George, Hurd, there's a free kick.
High, don't argue.
Yeah, from George. So a reprieve here for Mellis for the Swans.
And on the flip side of that, the Swans have, like, Hamling takes a mark on the wing. You have high representation with your tall forwards to help your team carry the ball and get the territory.
Cootie, right in front of his coach there. Kicks to half forward. And in the end, the only player that went up was Sparkman. Takes an easy, uncontested mark. But taking his time to pull off this kick. Now, inboard to Rankin. He wanted to be advanced 50 metres. Umpire said no. Dangerous kick, but it comes off, and they are away. Dreyer, long inside 50. Well played by Edwards. The kick wasn't quite to the advantage of Clark, but nonetheless, Edwards was right there to ensure no easy run from Clark.
Yeah, didn't kick it to the forwards' advantage. They do get the stoppage inside 50, which helps them reset, gets their midfielders down who have dominated today in this facet of the game.
What can Port Melbourne do with this opportunity? From the ruck contest, Clark is lurking. Couldn't take the footy with him. Shipley to Cleary. Gets the handball out. Good defensive pressure. Looks like we're going to get another ball up.
Well, they're plus 13 in clearances, Port. So they've just had a clear dominance in this area today. You've got to make the most of this now. Time's ticking.
Grant with the tap straight down to the Swans skipper and Shipley. A wobbly kick down the line. McLean out to meet it. He walks over the line and will have it thrown in.
Once again, smart McLean. We said handling before. One kick away, if not less. Give yourself representation. You can see Port's forward line. They've got 3 back, nice and deep here. Just a kick away, good isolation.
Grant wins it down. Hurd at the back. Elected not to use George. Went to O'Sullivan instead. Checked the kick. Landed in the middle of 2 Port Melbourne players in the end, and gobbling it up was Cleary, who spears it inboard to Totoli. Worked all the way up to half-back here, Jesse Totoli. Wants to move it quick. Flares it wide. And the mark has been taken here by Filippo. Call to play on now, so you'll hug the line and kick it high into the breeze, and that's going to sit up Port Melbourne players everywhere at the fall of the ball here. Green, Hurd, again, another touch, and it's a good one. Works it out wide to Highmore, into the middle, but Sydney are just all over the borough at half-back at the moment. Bowman pounces, kicks inside 50. Hanley lost his footing. If he would have kept it, he would have ran onto that and had a look at the goals. Rankin with the turn. Handball's inside. That's plucked, but wasn't the 15 metres, so Graham set a task here. Hurd retreats. Dreyer kicks it away as a downfield free kick, and they're away now, Port Melbourne.
We've seen in their last couple of entries, Port Melbourne, it's been 4-on-1 with the Swans, so the forwards have certainly not read the play in their forward thrusts.
Downey down the line of a contest. It's knocked towards the boundary line. Mellis has run out of room.
That's unforgivable as a forward line. You have to have representation. There was 1-on-3 once again. Like, that is just unacceptable. The forwards are too deep. They've got to come up. The Swans are just controlling this half-back at the moment.
Scoring straight up in this final quarter. Just the one behind the Swans' way. Nearly 14 minutes of play. Burrow need to get a wriggle on from the stoppage. Downey laying the tackle on Harrison. Spills to Mellis up and down the chimney shaft. It's knocked to ground. Shipley couldn't take the footy with him. Follows up with a second effort. Handball over the top. Over to Elwood. He's walked out of bounds. Another throw in front of a very strong and vocal home crowd here at ETU Stadium. The first home game of Port Melbourne's VFL season. They'd love to get a second win on the board. Game is in the balance.
A real captain's game from Nick Shipley today. You mentioned him just then, Jess. 25 disposals, clear team high for the Swans. He's worked really hard across all 3 lines today.
13 contested possessions. He's just absolutely had the overalls on.
There he is, the number 52 at the back there for the Swans. There's a free kick. Paid in that. Tovey releases George. Can this be a deep penetrating entry? At the back is Baldwin, who's been sent forward. Clark couldn't put it to his advantage. Hamling is down back again, and he wins it cleanly. Goes short, but the kick has missed his intended teammate. It came from Titterman. Was hoping for Heatherton, and Highmore now has it on the wing.
And Hamling was always going to go back, considering the lead and the advantage Port have with this wind.
Highmore goes high, 3-on-1 in favour of the Swans. Edwards cleanly at the back to Harrison. Handballs over the top to Cootie. Has Mellis running for him. Instead goes longer than that. And now Mellis gets on his bike and is off and running.
Gets the kick away, hugged up against the boundary line. Gets out the back. Coming through was Caligari in his league debut. And here's an opportunity for the Swans. They've spotted a target up forward. And it's going to be Heatherton, the young 18-year-old. Potentially shoot for a vital goal here in this final quarter.
Well, if I'm going to give the blame game, I'm blaming the Port forwards in that. That transition was way too easy. They didn't tackle, they didn't literally chase when that ball hit the ground inside their forward 50. And the Swans, on the flip side, go untouched all the way down into their 50 for a shot on goal.
A huge moment coming up for the 18-year-old Liam Heatherton.
Oh, that's awful.
Pushes it right. 2 behinds to Sydney. Port Melbourne yet to score in this final quarter. Game is still anyone's at the moment. 16 points the difference.
He looked like he kicked that with his opposite foot.
He's a very talented forward. 2 stress fractures last year, and his back were discovered, Liam Heaven, and that's why he had an interrupted draft campaign. Burra go through the middle. Hawkins just got the hand pass away, but Titterman able to gather it and quickly handball it off. Mellis getting busy in this 4th quarter. And now a long kick from Caligari inside 50. At the back, McLean.
Surprise, surprise. Kick away from the footy. Knows exactly where he needs to be. Great AFL experience. Brings it to this level. Kicked 2 great goals in the 3rd quarter. Going for his 3rd to join his great mate, Joel Hamling.
Played with presence today.
Do you notice I haven't inked this one just yet?
Okay.
Based on
Why is that? Because of the breeze?
A little bit of, yeah, it's a little tricky.
Right.
But I'm still, you know what? I'm going to put it in the book.
He has had his kicking boots on today. 2 goals straight. He's had 4 contested marks today, Hayden McLean. He might be the difference between the 2 sides, and that is why he didn't put it in the book straight away, though.
Correct. It's very tricky on that.
You're very intuitive, Dicko.
A little bit of guesswork. But it is certainly tricky to kick goals at that end. It's gone left, the wind. It's gone right, the wind. My #1 rule with goal kicking is you never give the goal away. So always a difficult one, though, when there's a huge breeze.
Leaves the door ajar for Port Melbourne, but given the lack of scoring, you wouldn't think this quarter would go as long as the previous ones. That's a free kick in the contest Sydney's way, and that certainly doesn't help their cause. Snell will send them back inside the arc.
Surely this is going on McLean's head.
Port Melbourne have got numbers back. He sends it to a dangerous position. I hope someone can fly. At the fall of the ball, Elwood sends it to the teeth of goal. Doesn't quite have the journey, and it's marked in the last line by Graham, who hands it off to Sparkman. It's knocked towards the boundary line, and it's going to be thrown back in. So they're keeping it in their forward half here, the Swans.
That's just not the right choice. A short 50-50 risky kick in your defensive 50. That's just got to be cleared. Give yourself every opportunity down the field. Now, advantage the Swans.
3 behinds for the Swans so far this quarter. Port Melbourne yet to score, despite, as you saw just before, a slight differential in their favour in inside 50s. Green bursts his way through, got his hands free. His teammate in Sparkman was taken high, so he can settle. What can the Borough do from the slow play here from deep in their defensive 50? Beautiful kick from Seston.
Just got to go direct. Hurd's got the ball here, normally uses it well.
Hawkins with a kick towards half forward. Big fly from Clark from behind, almost unrealistic. Baldwin used his body smartly. Left foot kick, not sure who to in the end. There was a player in Van Ez leading towards the pocket, but it's gone out of bounds on the full.
Had more inside 50s in this final quarter, Port Melbourne. Just haven't been able to put it on the scoreboard.
Well, they've had more inside 50, but they've all been shallow entries.
Tovey stripped to the footy. It's going to get done for holding the ball. McLean doing the work in defence now. 2 goals for him in that 3rd quarter. Hamling with a 3 in that 3rd quarter. Really got the match back on Sydney's terms. Strong grab.
And those shallow entries for Port just had a wall up the Swans in defence.
Bryan up to half forward. His kick is off target. Seston with the intercept grab. It's all or nothing now for the Borough. That's a wobbly kick off the boot. It might work out in the centre of the ground. Hawkins to Hurd. What can he do with a footy? Hands it off to Graham. And they've worked it out by hand to Clark. One of their stars. He shoots towards goal, and it is out of bounds on the full. They have made a meal of their opportunities in this last quarter.
It's actually a slaughter. They have butchered everything. It's just been apple turnover. Time after time here. You come through, it's clear, you've got a forward one out, you either have a shot at goal. To kick it out on the full, unacceptable.
Still within striking distance here, the Borough. Shipley clears for the Swans. Towards a one-on-one contest. Sparkman off hands. Johnston. Stubbings did well to keep it moving forward. Polkinghorne centres it. It's marked by Grant.
Have a shot.
The big ruck, Sam Grant. And his 23rd birthday.
Happy birthday.
Doesn't go for glory. He does the team thing. Tovey been so impressive today. And the first score of the quarter for the Borough is a poster.
He's kicked a knuckleball on his birthday to the forwards. It's got dislocation finger written all over it. Like, he should have gone back. The breeze, just put it up, have a shot.
Edwards with the kick-in duties. Swans led by 14 points at three-quarter time. Haven't seen a goal in this final quarter. Just 3 behind to the Swans, 1 to the Borough. Cleary head over the footy. Port Melbourne doing their best to stay alive here in the final quarter. Time now the enemy. Sydney at half-back through Peters. Drives it down the line. McLean in space. He's really popped up in important moments. That's going to be 50, and that might just be the game.
He was in the protected zone for so long. Just trying to sneak up on him. Umpire didn't call play on. You can see here in the replay down the bottom right, like, he hasn't gone off his line yet. He's right in there. Oh, this is going to hurt.
He's kicked 2 goals already today, Hayden McLean. 6 marks, 6 score involvements as well. As we mentioned earlier, he's on 98 AFL games. Trying to do his best to earn his place back in the big time. And this to ice the game. Point blank range. McLean has 3.
Once again, Hayden McLean just throws himself into not working hard enough, locked that ball in. They've transitioned way too easily, the Swans.
So how much of this from a Port Melbourne perspective is inexperience? Because as Jess mentioned pre-game, a lot of Port Melbourne's players are between 20 and 25 years of age. A little bit more experience on the Swan side. They still have a lot of young players out there, but this is a very young Port Melbourne team. The Port Melbourne team, 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 the Port Melbourne
in style and set up just as forwards. I mean, the basics are be a kick away and have some representation.